Miami Dolphins added another tackle. We're going to talk about that. Signed a corner from the XFL. And Dan Orlovsky goes a little bit more in depth on what's going on with the tackles and Tua Tagovailoa. What is up, Fin fans? Got a bunch for you on this Tuesday. Hope you guys are having a fantastic Tuesday. We're getting closer to the end of the week again, and then you get to breathe. And then next Monday, OTA start. That means the start of OTA videos. And then I start my training camp battle position videos where I break down every single position and talk about the battle that's going on, who's fighting for what position. Told you, I don't take off. This is a year-round channel, so if you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, be sure to hit it because you get a lot of content. And it's not just Dolphin content. I give you some NFL content as well. I'm going to do more tier lists. A lot of you guys want me to do more tier lists. I think next I might do the wide receivers, maybe running backs, defense. I got a lot planned for you guys. So without further ado, we're going to jump into this. And the Miami Dolphins have made it official. I'm covering my face. I'm just going to lean over like this. The Dolphins have officially signed Isaiah Wynn, and they also signed tackle Cedric Ogbuehi. That's how you pronounce his name. I looked that one up because you look at it and you're like, excuse me? Ogbuehi is his name. So the Dolphins go out and they get two former first-round tackles. My thoughts on Ogbuehi is, there are other guys out there like Shell, and there's Cameron Fleming, and there's some other guys out there, and he was with the Jets. I'm going to go into it because Barry Jackson wrote a very good article kind of breaking down the two tackles that we signed and how they stack up and all that stuff. So we're going to break down that article, and then obviously the NFL Live talked about Dan Orlovsky, had a very good clip talking about our tackles and the problem there. We're going to talk about that. But just real quick, Ogbuehi and my thoughts on him. That's my thoughts. I kind of see him as a camp body. Some people poo-pooed me saying that because he's a former first-round pick. To me, where you were drafted, especially formally where you were drafted, doesn't really stand much ground with me, especially if you're going to get paid less than $1 million, because the Dolphins have about $2 million in cap space, and they signed him. They signed Wynn, and they signed a tackle from the CFL, which we will talk about. So I doubt they're going to be making much money. So to me, that you're going to come in, you're going to compete, and that's my thoughts on it. We'll see how it all pans out. I need to see them in pads again. OTAs, and then mandatory veteran mini camps that are coming up, and then even some parts of the training camp. You're going to say, oh, the defensive line is really doing the number on the. Not till the pads come on will you really know. But let's get into what Barry Jackson had to say, because he had some in-depth things to say. So he said the Dolphins added their second former veteran offensive tackle in as many days on Monday, agreeing to a deal with Cedric Ogbuehi, who started 35 games for 5 teams since entering the league in 2015. So again, how good is he if he's played for 5 different teams? How good could he be if the Dolphins were able to pick him up for nothing? Ogbuehi, who is 6'5", 306 pounds, so he's a huge human being, has started only 9 games since 2017. Again, that's why I'm like probably a camp body, and there's no sure thing to make the roster. Me and Barry Jackson. If I can get Barry Jackson on the channel, that'd be fantastic. He spent the start of last season on Houston's practice squad before the Jets signed him to their 53-man roster on September 27th. That is my birthday. He started 5 games and appeared in 7 for the Jets last season, playing all 286 of his snaps at right tackle and permitting 1 sack and 14 pressures. He spent most of December on injury reserve with a groin injury. The Jets re-signed him in April, but then released him after they brought in Billy Turner. So he was replaced by Billy Turner. And we all know about Billy Turner. Ogbuehi appeared in only 3 games in 2021, 2 for Baltimore, 1 for Seattle in 2020. He appeared in 8 games for Seattle and started 4, permitting 1 sack on 276 snaps at right tackle. During his career, he has 21 starts at right tackle, 14 at left tackle. His most extensive work as a starter came in 2016 and 2017 for the Bengals, who selected him 21st overall in the 2015 draft. Ogbuehi joins Isaiah Wynn as new offensive tackles on the roster, and their moves and their move from Brandon Shell to Win so far less likely Ogbuehi as their number 1B right tackle, also known as competition for Austin Jackson. The Dolphins are getting younger. Whether they're getting better is questionable. Took words right out of my mouth there, Barry. Shell last season started 11 games at right tackle, and Wynn started 7 games in his first season at right tackle before a foot injury prematurely ended his season. Before we jump into the comparisons, Isaiah Wynn being brought in gives me more hope for the competition because I saw how well he did at left tackle. And I see Isaiah Wynn more as a insurance policy if Teron Armstead goes down. I don't see him being much of a competition at right tackle. And Ogbuehi, you heard me raffle off all the things that this man has done for all these different teams and all the different times and the 5 different things and the doop. That's my thoughts on that. So here's how Shell and Wynn compared last season. Rated Pro Football Focus rated Shell 49th and Wynn 72nd among 81 qualifying tackles. Pass blocking, Shell permitted 2 sacks but 40 pressures, where Wynn permitted 4 sacks and 17 pressures, but with less time. Edge Shell through those Shell's pressure numbers were too high. And run blocking, PFF rated Shell 14th, Wynn 40th as a run blocker. And yet the Dolphins so far have bypassed re-signing Shell, who had interest in returning and has remained unsigned. Why the Dolphins opted for the 27-year-old Wynn over the 31-year-old Shell isn't clear, but these are 2 meaningful advantages that Wynn has besides his age. 1, he's probably a better left tackle than Shell. Again, that's what I'm saying. To me, it seems like he's more. Again, he says, and that's important because Teron Armstead missed games every year of his career, including the 4th season. He's most likely a backup. He's probably, that insurance. Wynn is expected to challenge Jackson for the starting right tackle job. Dolphins general manager Chris Greer, who agreed to terms with Wynn on Sunday, said weeks ago that Jackson is expected to be the starter at right tackle, which made me very upset. Don't just hand out starting positions, and that goes for all of them. You can go back and hear me say it about Tua. You can go back and hear me say it about all the positions on the team. Don't just hand them out, especially if the person's struggling. Wynn also played guard, which gives the Dolphins another option if Liam Eichenberg, Dan Feeney, and Robert Jones don't seize the job, or if there's an injury. Wynn was also a left guard in the first 3 seasons at Georgia before moving to tackle. So again, the Isaiah Wynn signing makes more sense than the Ogbuehi. After missing his first season 2018, after sustaining a torn Achilles in preseason, Wynn started 33 games, all at left tackle over the next 3 seasons. He graded out pretty well. I showed you guys his grades there. The top concern is health. I don't know why the Dolphins do this to themselves. Like, if they could stay healthy, how about you get somebody who doesn't have that problem? Go out and pay somebody $5.5 million this year. Who's that? McGarry. I think he was like the 8th best tackle last year in the NFL. He went back to the Falcons for $5.5 million this year. And then he's getting $12.5 next year. He wasn't even like the top-ranked flipping right tackle. That was McCorkle or Coca-Cola. I don't know. Like, it just drives me nuts. Other concerns with Wynn, who was drafted 23rd overall in New England, is penalties. The Patriots benched him in October 2nd against Green Bay last season after he allowed 2 sacks and was called for 2 penalties. But he was put back in the starting lineup the following week against Detroit, but he struggled and lost his starting job to Marcus Cannon for 3 games before his foot injury. Fantastic. It's just so good. Again, I don't see him as a starter, Isaiah Wynn. I don't see the addition of Isaiah Wynn. I don't see the addition of Cedric Ogbuehi as starters. I see them as competition, camp bodies, and backups. Wynn's former offensive line coach Dante Starnecki suggested on a radio interview last October that moving a new team would help him. He said, I absolutely think he's savable, but he's in the twilight right now. It doesn't look like the way things are going is going to go very well for him here. Wherever he ends up, whatever happens, I hope it's the best. It's like, this is my thoughts, right? This is my thoughts. Let me rub my face for a second because it's insanity. You do the same things over and over again, expect something different. You have a glaring need. You know who said this really well? It was on Twitter. And it was like, no, it was the chef's kiss of a tweet. And I absolutely loved it. And I want to make sure I give credit to where credit's due because gee willikers. Chris Kaufman on Twitter. Chris Kaufman, if you're watching this, fantastic tweet. Absolutely fantastic tweet. I'm going to read it verbatim. Because it's so good. The 2023 Miami Dolphins are the Death Star. And for all you Star Wars fans, you know where he's going at. Look up and down the roster and the coaching staff. They are a bad blank team. A true credit to the man in charge of putting that roster and staff together. With one exception. With the exception of one very stupidly unshielded thermal exhaust port. If you ever have watched Star Wars, you know the scene where Luke Skywalker is going down the corridor and he turns off his navigation system and he uses the Force and he shoots the torpedo and it goes into the foam and skadoosh blows up the Death Star. That was his one weakness, was that exhaust port. And the Miami Dolphins have built a very good team. They have one weakness, and it is the right tackle. And what are they doing about it? Nothing. They go out and get Isaiah Wynn. Yippity-doo-dah. They go out and get Cedric Ogbuehi. Who? What? You haven't... We think Austin Jackson's going to turn a corner in his fourth year. Has he shown you anything in the other 3 years to show that? Well, Doug, because there are some people who think that we should give Austin Jackson a shot. And have said to me, well, Doug, he's been injured. You don't know what you have in him. I do know what I have in him. An injured, prone right tackle. Yeah, Doug, but you don't say that about... Yes, I do. I'm going to cut you off there because I know I'm going to... You don't say that about Tua. You love Tua. You're part of the cult. Say it all the time. I say the only thing holding Tua and his team back is if Tua can stay on the field. Say it all the time. So you can zip the lip and you can stop typing. I already cut you off. It makes no sense to me. And I said it. They had options. They had better people to replace or to put in at right tackle and shore it up. Take Austin Jackson. If you think that Austin Jackson, you don't want to bite the bullet that 18th overall pick was hot garbage. Same thing you don't want to do with Noah Igbenogany. Then kick him over to left guard. Left guard would be much easier for him. And you go out and you bring back Brandon Shell and you sign McGarry. That's what I would have done at the beginning of free agency. All of a sudden you have a very good right tackle and you have a very good backup. And it'll cost you about $7 million this year for your right tackle. That's it. That's not a lot of money for a starting right tackle that's going to protect your quarterback's blind side, a.k.a. his tush. I just don't get it. This team, they're building something here. They're building something here, especially if they had a certain somebody. But again, we'll see what happens June 1st. Maybe somebody will get cut. Maybe a surprise. Maybe what's his face from Cincinnati will be like, you know what, I'll play right tackle, and then we go in and get him. I don't know, but as of right now, you look at me dead in my eyes, and you ask me what position on this team scares the crap out of you. It's the right tackle. Tight end, I'm not too worried about it, especially in the scheme we might run. I'm fine with Durham Smythe and Sorbert as your 1-2 punch. I'm fine with that. I would prefer a more pass catching tight end blocking. They're hard to come by, apparently. It's the right tackle. I'm not even worried about left guard because you have two guys on either side of him that can help. Even though Liam Eichenberg can't pick up a stunt if his life depended on it, I'm not as worried about that. Also because Tua can see it coming. And he's very good at getting away from it. It's what he can't see coming. That right tackle spot, it's gonna be the death. And I said this last year, and I don't like doing the whole, I was right, you should listen to me because I'm the best. I don't like doing that. Makes me sound pompous. But I was kind of right about Connor Williams and his snapping issue. And I kept getting flack for it. I kept having people tell me to calm down. You're this and that, and you don't know what you're talking about. And then how many times did he snap it over or under, or his snaps are off? Again, I'm not saying he's not a great blocking and a great, run block, pass blocking center, but his snaps were off and they were scaring me, and I told you to look out for it, and then it happened during the season. I said, told you so. Right tackle spot's going to kill us. If they can't figure that out, or if Austin Jackson doesn't miraculously become the future Hall of Fame right tackle that we need, it's going to be a problem. You're going to have to keep 3 tight ends over there to help, because I could show you footage of Austin Jackson just struggling. And the last thing I'm going to talk about is the Dolphins signed former Saints defensive back Bryce Thompson. He was in Seattle with the XFL. As corner, Thompson had 8 interceptions in 3 seasons at Tennessee and signed with the Saints after going undrafted in 2021, but played sparingly for New Orleans over the past 2 seasons, logging 88 snaps on special teams and 6 on defense in 8 games. Thompson was targeted 60 times in the XFL this season and yielded 38 receptions for 463 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Can't body. And we need corners. Not like we don't need corners, but I'm saying for the camp, you'll be surprised, right? A lot of people see how many running backs we have, or why do we need to add more? You need them. Like, you'll be surprised. Some teams will run with 5 quarterbacks so all the wide receivers can get reps and so they can get time, because you'll have a certain amount of wide receivers. Say we go into camp with 12 wide receivers, but we're only going to run with 3 quarterbacks. Say, we get rid of the other ones and we stick with the 3 we have. Not all those wide receivers are going to get reps, because there's only a certain amount of balls that can be thrown around, a certain amount of reps. Same thing with corners, same thing with all that stuff. So you add a big plethora. That's why it's 90, and then you got to cut it down to 53. But that's what I got for you today. Hope it was no. That's not what I got for you today. I was about to cut it short. We're going to listen to what Dan Orlovsky has to say about the offensive tackles. I almost cut it short on you guys. So let's listen to what he has to say about the offensive tackles.
I'm going to put Miami and their coaching staff and Mike McDaniel, their head coach, on the spot here. How did Tua get hurt? And are there things that you can do better to minimize the chances of those situations presenting themselves again? Number 1, your tackles in shotgun, okay? This is silent cadence at home. Once that ball gets snapped, the left tackle is so late to get out to the defensive end, number 1.
And that is Teron Armstead. And I noticed that they're either super early or super late. And that's Teron Armstead.
Number 2, make sure you got a back that can handle pass protection. This is the play that Tua gets hurt on, okay? So that's the first thing, focusing on those tackles. The second thing, when you go with this hard horizontal play action fake, that offensive line has to stay on the same plane, like the Saints clip I showed. Those guys are on all different levels. What happens there, they get split. The second thing, and this is a little bit teaching to Tua, it's not there, bub.
I said this about both of Tua's concussions. He needs to learn to get rid of the ball and play another down. He should have just thrown he had guys open. We've broken this film down. He didn't need to take this hit, and he didn't need to get this concussion.
Get the ball out of your hands. We took our shot. We lost. Check it down. This is the play later on the season that ended the season essentially for Tua. Pull the backside guard and the tight end. This is a sell it downhill quick hitting play action, not the horizontal one. Ball should come out right now. Maybe Tua can't see it because all the body's in the middle of the field. Again, we don't win, Tua. This is when, where is your outlet? Don't try to go make something. That's not who you are, okay, Tua? So, and I really want to drill this home, because that first clip that I showed against Buffalo when he got hurt this year, that was a very similar clip to 2021 when Tua got hurt against the Buffalo Bills. It was 4th and 2. Their tackles in Miami, for some reason, play slow to the snap when they're in shotgun. You can fix that. The second one, that horizontal play action, they got to coach them to stay on the same plane better. They can't give those creases. Marcus knows that. Those guys get on different levels, quarterback's done. Now, third one, maybe you don't do some of that hard sell play action because Tua may not be able to see. And then the last thing, Tua, where's your outlets? Where's your outlets? Where are your outlets? You're not a runaround creator. Where are your outlets? I think if they do that, I honestly think they can minimize some of the risk when it comes to his injuries.
100%. 100,000%. Nailed it. He absolutely nailed it, especially the last part. Like I said, if we could take the 2021 Tua and the 2022 Tua, put them together, because 2021 Tua was very checked down. He was he had with the worst offensive line in how long, so he was very okay. I need to get the ball out quick, so he's checking down and getting the ball out quick because he didn't have much time. And then in 2022, he was more forcing the ball down the field. He needs to learn how to do both, but also we got to work on everything else Dan Orlovsky talked about with the timing, with the tackles and the shotgun, keeping on the same plane on the rollouts, all that stuff. So I just wanted to show that to you because I thought very insightful stuff. But now that's all I got for you. Comment below. Let me know what you think of everything I said, the video, the signings, all that stuff, the tackle position. Comment below. And I'll see you guys in the next video. I think maybe I'll do a tier list tomorrow. Comment below. Let me know if you would be interested in that. But other than that, like usual, stay classy. My friends out.